वल्लभा जय गिरिवराधारे गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवराधारे जय यशोदानन्दन जय व्रजरञ्जन जय जय यशोदानन्दन जय व्रजजनरञ्जन जय यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय जय यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवराधारे जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवराधारे जय जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Subhadrama Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अबद्धेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनाय हृदयन्तस्त हि अभद्राणि विधुनोति सहत्सताम्। Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter entitled Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. Text number 31. पत्न्यः पतिं प्रोष्य गृह अनुपागतं विलोक्य संजात मन महा उत्सव उत्तास्तुः आराध सहसा आसना आशयात् साकं वधे व्रीडिता लोचना आनना पत्न्यः पतिं प्रोस्य गृहानुपागतम् पत्न्यः पतिं प्रोस्य गृहानुपागतम् पत्न्यः पतिं प्रोस्य गृहानुपागतम् विलोक्य सञ्जातमनो मनोत्सवः विलोक्य सञ्जातमनो महोत्सवाः उत्तास्तुरारात् सहसा सनासयात् उत्तास्तुरारात् सहसा सनासयात् उत्तास्तुरारात् सहसा सनासयात् साकं व्रतैर्व्रीडितलोचनानः साकं व्रतैर्व्रीडितलोचनानः पत्न्या पतिं प्रोष्य गृहानुपागतम् विलोक्य सञ्जातमनो मनोत्सवः पत्न्या पतिं प्रोष्य गृहानुपागतम् विलोक सञ्जातमनो महोत्सवः उत्तास्तुरारात् सहसा नासयात् साकं व्रतैर्व्रीडितलोचनानः पत्न्या पतिं प्रोष्य गृहानुपागतम् विलोक्य सञ्जातमनो महोत्सवः उत्तस्तुरारात् सहसा सनासयात् साकं व्रतैर्व्रीडितलोचनानः Mataji's word to word translation, word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Patnya, the ladies, wives of Lord Sri Krishna. Patim, husband. Prosya, who was away from home. Griha Anupagatam, now returned home. Vilokya, thus seeing. Sanjata, having developed. Manaha, Mana Maha Utsava, a sense of joyful ceremony within the mind. Uttastuhu, got up. Arat, from a distance. Sahasa, all of a sudden. Asana, from the seats. Ashayat, from the state of meditation. Sakam, along with. Vrathai, the vow. Vridita, looking coil. Lochana, eyes. Anana, with such faces. Translation: The queens of Lord Sri Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and meditations. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coilo. Purport. As mentioned above, the Lord entered his home palace is occupied by 16,108 queens. This means that the Lord at once expanded himself in as many planetary expansions as there were queens and palaces, and entered in each and every one of them simultaneously and separately. Here is another manifestation of the feature of his internal potency. He can expand himself in as many forms of spiritual identity as he desires, even though he is one without a second. It is confirmed by Shruti mantra that the Absolute is one without a second, is one alone, and yet he becomes many as soon as he so desires. These manifold expansions of the Supreme Lord are manifested as plenary and separated portions. Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The separated portions and are representations of his energy, and the plenary portions are manifestations of his personality. Thus, the personality of God had manifested himself in 16,108 plenary expansions and simultaneously entered into each and every one of the palaces of the queens. This is called Vaibhava, or the transcendental potency of the Lord. And because he can do so, he is also known as Yogeshwara. Ordinarily, a yogi or mystic living being is able to expand himself at most to tenfold expansions of his body. But the Lord can do so to the extent of as many thousands of infinitil as he likes. Unbelievers become astonished to learn that Lord Krishna married more than 16,000 queens, because they think of Lord Krishna as one of them and measure the potency of the Lord by their own limited potency. One should know, therefore, that the Lord is never on the level of the living beings, who are but expansions of his marginal potency. And one should never equalize the potency of the potent and potency. Although there is very little difference of quality between the potent and the potency, the queens were also expansions of his internal potency, and the potent and potencies are perpetually exchanging transcendental pleasures known as pastimes of the Lord. One should not therefore become astonished to learn that the Lord married so many wives. On the contrary, one should affirm that even if the Lord married 16,000 millions wives, he is not completely manifesting his unlimited and inexhaustible potency. He married only 16,000 wives and entered in each and every one of the different palaces just to impress in the history of the human beings on the surface of the earth that the Lord is never equal or less than any human being. However powerful he may be, no one therefore is either equal to or greater than the Lord. The Lord is always great in all respects. God is great, is eternal truth. Therefore, as soon as the queens saw from a distance their husband, who was away from home for long periods due to the battle of Kurukshetra, they all arose from the slumber of meditation and prepared to receive their most beloved. According to Yajnavalkya's religious injunctions, a woman whose husband is away from the home should not take part in any social functions, should not decorate her body, should not laugh, and should not go to any relative's house in any circumstance. This is the vow of the ladies whose husbands are away from home. At the same time, it is also enjoined that a wife should never present herself before the husband in an unclean state. She must decorate herself with ornaments and good dress and should always be present before the husband in a happy and joyous mood. The queens of Lord Krishna were all in meditation, thinking of the Lord's absence, and were always meditating upon him. The Lord's devotees cannot live for a moment without meditating on the Lord. And what to speak of the queens, who were all goddesses of fortune, incarnated as queens in the pastimes of the Lord at Dwaraka. They can never be separated from the Lord, either by presence or by trance. The gopis at Vrindavana could not forget the Lord when the Lord was away in the forest cowherding. When the Lord boy Krishna was absent from the village, the gopis at home used to worry about him, traversing the rough ground with his soft lotus feet. By thinking thus, they were sometimes overwhelmed in trance and mortified in the heart. Such is the condition of the pure associates of the Lord. They are always in trance, and so the queens also were in trance during the absence of the Lord. Presently, having seen the Lord from a distance, they at once gave up all their engagements, including the vows of women as described above, according to Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. There was a regular psychological reaction on the occasion. First of all, rising from their seats, although they wanted to see their husband, they were deterred because of feminine shyness. But due to strong ecstasy, they overcame that stage of weakness and became caught up with the idea of embracing the Lord. And this thought factually made them unconscious of their surrounding environment. This prime state of ecstasy annihilated all other formalities and social conventions, and thus they escaped all stumbling blocks on the path of meeting the Lord. And that is the perfect stage of meeting the Lord of the soul, Sri Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadulam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschyati Deshitarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangaite Grim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vikasa Swami Hare Krishna Patya Patim Prosya Gruhanupagatam Vilokya Sanjata Mano Mahotsavaha Uttasturarat Sahasasanasayat Sakam Vratair Bridit Lochanana. Translation once more. The queens of Lord Sri Krishna rejoiced with their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and meditations. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coyly. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone for this morning Bhagavatam class. So as we are hearing this chapter, so yesterday we heard from His Grace Madhur Kanai Prabhu about the 16,108 wives, then mostly the principal wives of Lord Sri Krishna. And today's verse speaks about how the queens in Dwaraka, they received in the palace, how they received Lord Krishna. It is mentioned here that they were seated in meditation. It seems that all the time, the period when Lord was not there in Dwaraka, all this time, they were in only meditation. As we know from their previous life, they were all great rishis and munis. So their only job is to meditate, and they had desire to associate with the Lord, to marry Lord. So Krishna accepted in Dwapara Yuga. So, but they were in meditation. They were all in meditation. Generally, women, they cannot stay idle. Something or the other they will be doing, either chit-chatting with other women or doing something else. But here, these queens, they are not ordinary queens actually. They are they are not some ordinary women who are conditioned. They are all associates of Lord Krishna. So definitely, they are pure devotees of Krishna. So pure devotees of the Lord, as Srila Prabhupada mentions here, they are always, perturbed. They are always disturbed when Lord is in absence of the Lord. Devotees, they are always disturbed, and Lord is not present. So all these queens, they were in meditation actually. And once they came to know that Lord entered the palace, so immediately they woke up from their seats, from the meditation, and it is said that they covered their faces shyly. This is the chastity for women actually, shyness. Without shyness, there is no any beauty in woman. Generally, it is mentioned in Shastras. So that is the chastity for woman. But and looked about coyly. Coyly means that they were like inexpressive and expressive also. They were trying to express their love, and they were also trying to control it. And that is the meaning of coil. So they want to embrace the Lord, but they are stopped by the shyness. So in this way they are confused what to do at that time. So this is the situation here. And this is a very elaborate purport here. Srila Prabhupada writes. So we'll go para by para and we'll discuss, because this subject matter itself is related to the expansions of Lord Sri Krishna and his plenary expansions. So I have a question for everyone, that why does Lord appears in different forms? Like we see here that Krishna has expanded to 16,108 forms and entered into each palaces. So why does actually Lord expand himself? To fulfill the desires of the devotees, yes. To fulfill the desires of the devotees. That is correct. Any more answers? Yes, Lord is not some ordinary person. He is the Supreme Personality of God. So He shows His power. No, that's what Srila Prabhupada writes here. That, no, Lord wants to show the human society, give an example that He is not an ordinary person. All His pastimes are all transcendental. So he shows his power, that he shows his supremacy. Anyone else? Huh. Oh, you're right. Like Bhagavan married 16,108 wives to show his supremacy, that he is some not an ordinary person. Same point, in different way you are trying to express. Yes, this is what I was expecting. To enjoy, he is a supreme enjoyer. No, he is a supreme enjoyer. Otherwise, he no need to take any expansions. No, that's why it is said, variety is a mother of enjoyment. No, variety is a mother. So he likes to enjoy transcendental exchanges with his devotees. So that's why Lord expands himself, expands him unlimited forms. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it is very elaborately explained about this, lots of expansions, and how many expansions are there, in which way the Lord expands, and in which way he comes in this material world and he does different pastimes. And Lord expands himself according to the desires of the devotees. According to the desire of the devotee. If a desire, for example, some devotee is desiring to worship the Lord in the mood of Dasya Bhava, so Lord is appearing in that way. If some devotees is want to express their Vasalya Bhava, Lord is coming in as a Bal Gopal. In Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, they want to express Vatsalya Bhava. So according to different Bhava, so Lord, he expands himself and he exchanges the transcendental loving exchange with the devotees, and he accepts service. So this is all because to attract the conditioned soul. Why? Because we are all, why Lord descends to this world as Archa Vigraha? So that we can serve him personally. He is allowing us to serve him. We can bless him. We can offer him food stuff, and we can nicely offer prayers to him. We can have his darshan. So he is personally present here. That way, he is accepting our service. So that is the purpose, that Lord descends in different forms in this material world and perform different pastimes. And it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tatvataha Taktva Deha Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Sarjuna. Janma Karma Chame Divyam. My birth and activities are all transcendental. Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tatvataha. But one who knows about them, one who understands them, will never come back to this material realm. He will come back to my spiritual world. So Lord expands himself into many variegated expansions. It is also mentioned in Brahma Samhita. Ramadi Murti Sukala Niyamenu Tishtan Nana Makarod Bhuvaneshu Gintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Rama Adi Murti Sukale, like different forms, Rama, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, like this. There are so many forms. And Lord also want to reciprocate with his devotees. He want to reciprocate with his devotees in different ways. We know in many pastimes of pure devotees that Lord personally would speak in the form of Archa Vigraha. Like Lord Varadaraj would speak with, what is his name? Kanchipurna. He would directly speak with him. He would answer him. And our 6 Goswamis also, they had many reciprocative exchanges with their own deities. So like this, we'll go and discuss from the purport. As mentioned above, the Lord entered his home palace is occupied by 16,108 queens. This means that the Lord at once expanded himself in as many planetary expansions as there were queens and palaces, and entered in each and every one of them simultaneously and separately. So in Dwaraka, Lord sometimes, he is Vyasadeva Krishna there in Dwaraka. Lord sometimes he expands, he shows his 400 form like Narayana, and sometimes he shows 200 form. So whenever the Lord, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam that when Lord goes to Rajya assembly, so from all the from all the 16,108 palaces, Lord comes out, and they became one. They all merge into one, and one Krishna goes to the assembly. So similarly, when Lord desires, he will expand. Not just 16,108 times, he can expand to unlimited forms. So here is another manifestation of the feature of his eternal potency. He can expand himself in as many forms of spiritual identity as he desires. So Krishna is Swarat. Nobody can say why God is like this. Why God is marrying 16,108 wives. I already mentioned in one of my class that once I was distributing books in Rajamandri. So from Bhimavaram to Rajamandri. So I was in the train. The train is LET Mumbai. So I was in the train. So I was distributing books showing Bhagavad Gita to people, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and SSR. So from there, one person, he called me. I thought he will take some books. He called me and he asked me to sit. Okay, I sat. Then he started to ask. Immediately, with such envious, he was asking, why Krishna had married 16,108 times? And why not me? Why not me? So this is the mentality of the common people, who don't know about Krishna, who doesn't know who is actually Krishna. So here in Bhagavatam, it's mentioned who is actually Krishna is, what is his power, what is his supremacy. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasa Babhrutya. He is the only Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everybody is his subservients. So I tried to explain to him, but he was not accepting. I said, you read this Krishna book, you will understand who is Krishna. He has such enviousness that he want to become God in that way. That is the last snare of Maya, that conditioned soul desires to become God. That is the last snare of Maya. Srila Prabhupada writes. So it is, we cannot put God in our own tiny brain and fix him. God is like this. Like Muslims, like in Mohammedan religion, they say, we cannot see him because he's so bright that we cannot see him. He has no form actually. He's so bright that we cannot see him. We cannot imitate him. He cannot get married. God cannot get married. They say like this. We can get married. We have this body, but he has no body. Because he is supremely powerful, effulgent. So we cannot see him, we cannot perceive him. He has no any form. So this is their conclusion of God. They are saying that he cannot get married. Why Krishna got married? Why Rama got married? No, he cannot get married. Because they think that God is also some like everyone, like human being. But when God descends to this material world, he comes with his spiritual form, Satitananda form. He will not take this material form, made of bhumi rapo nala vayu kammano buddhirevacha. He is not, his body is not made of material elements, 24 elements, which like our bodies. His body is completely transcendental. Ishvara Parama Krishna Chitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So he is completely transcendental. So it is said in Kurukshetra war, when Krishna was driving Arjuna's chariot, so Krishna also got some hurts on his body. It is said, Acharyas explained that when Krishna got these cuts, immediately they same time they used to get disappear all the cuts immediately, because his body is not some ordinary body, it's transcendental body, so Sachitananda body. So he is God. Here we have, like Prabhupada says, they don't have any information of God. We have information. We have information. Who is he? What does he do? What is his pastimes? His name, form, qualities, everything is mentioned. Prabhupada would ask, you have any information about God? Christians, they have only information about Lord's bright hand and curly hairs. Only this much is mentioned in Bible. So there is no much information. There is no any information about God. So they are confused. Who is God? Jesus is God. Sometimes they say Jehovah. They have different interpretations, different testimonies about, and they expand it. And sometimes they copy also the Vedic culture. They put Mary and Jesus, and they I saw in Tirchandur in Tamil Nadu, in front of the church they have Dvajastambha and they are putting mango leaves, and they are putting rango leaves. I went to one home and I asked, what is this? This is also Vedic culture. You're copying. So they are just converting Christian Hindus into Christians. Just sorry, priests are saffron clothes. Yeah. So they are just copying Vedic culture, and they don't have any information of God. They're just fooling around people. They're showing some money and some chicken biryani, just serve at the end of their prayers, and people they just go blind, and they get fooled there. So, but we have information about God, He is one without a second. It is confirmed by the Suti mantra that the Absolute is one alone, and yet he becomes many as soon as he so desires. These main four expansions of the Supreme Lord are manifested as plenary and separated portions. The separated portions are representations of his energy, and the plenary portions are manifestation of his personality. Thus the personality of God had manifested himself in 16,108 plenary expansions, and simultaneously entered into every one of the palaces of the queens. So Lord, it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the first expansion, the Lord is Swayam Rupa, and from Swayam Rupa comes Swayam Prakasha, and from Swayam Prakasha, Prabhava Prakasha and Vaibhava Prakasha. So this is, we'll read it from Chaitanya Charitamrita later about this. So we'll get a proper idea of what are these. So Swayam Prakasha means the Swayam, the first expansion of Lord energy is there is different forms that Lord takes they all look the same. Then Vaibhava Prakasha is Balaram, Lord Balaram. Same person, but he has different mood, bhav, and he has different Rasa Leela, different gopis, and he's Sevaka Bhagavan, generally Balaram. So he's Vaibhava Prakash, it's mentioned. So we'll discuss this later. This is called Vaibhava, or the transcendental potency of the Lord. And because he can do so, he is also known as Yogeshwara. So Krishna is Yogeshwara. Yogis, they can expand into at most eightfold, but here Srila Prabhupada says at most tenfold expansions. Tenfold expansions. But it is mentioned, also Prabhupada says that if the person who expanded himself, the yogi who expands himself, whatever he does, like if he raises his hand, all the 10 expansions, 10 manifold expansions also raises the hands. If he eats, if he takes breathe, all the expansion does the same thing. There is no any different desires for other expansion. There is no any different activities. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is Yogeshwara. In different palaces in Dwaraka, Krishna was doing different activities. Narada Muni, he went to see this, what Krishna is actually doing in different palaces. At one place, Krishna is, he's with his children, and another place, Krishna is his wives, discussing with his wives, playing. So in different places, Krishna was doing different activities, because Krishna is Yogeshwara. He is not controlled by yogic mystic power. He is the Yogeshwara. He is the Ishwara. He is the all the yogis, they get power from Krishna. They get this energy from Krishna to expand. Unbelievers become astonished to learn that Lord Krishna married more than 16,000 queens, because they think of Lord Krishna as one of them, and measure the potency of the Lord by their own limited potency. This we already discussed. Unbelievers, atheists, they are bewildered. They first of all don't believe. How come a man, some person can get? It's from their own mind comes like this. Some person can get married to 16,000 wives. They're bewildered actually. That's why they won't believe all this. Therefore, that the Lord is never on the level of the living being, who are but expansion of his marginal potency, and one should never equalize the potent and the potency. So Krishna is potent. He has all the potencies, and what all expands from him is all his potencies. Like powerhouse gives power to all the city. Similarly, Krishna is like powerhouse. He expands. His energy is expanded. Although there is very little difference of quality between the potent and the potency. The queens were also expansions of his internal potency, and thus the potent and potencies are perpetually exchanging transcendental pleasures known as pastimes of the Lord. One should not therefore become astonished to learn that the Lord married so many wives. So all the 16,108 wives are also his own potency. They are not some separated, separate persons, like happens in the material world. We are separate, and our wife is separate, husband is separate. They are separate persons. But in Krishna's case, it's not like that. He expands himself. He becomes his first expansion. Radharani, he's his own internal potency. Antarangika Shakti. So similarly, there are unlimited Lakshmis, thousands of Lakshmis serving the Lord. Similarly, all these Dwaraka queens, they're all Krishna's potency, his own energy. So he is exchanging with his own energies. So these are all pastimes of the Lord, which are all on the transcendental plane. This is not on the material plane. One should not therefore become astonished to learn that Lord married so many wives. On the contrary, one should affirm that even if the Lord marries 16,000 million wives, he is not completely manifesting his unlimited and inexhaustible potencies. So he can marry even 16,000 all the living beings. We are all actually Prakriti, and Krishna is only the Purusha. He is only the enjoyer, and we are to be. Krishna enjoys us. We are enjoyed by Krishna. So we don't have any. Although we may be in the body of a male, thinking I am also Purusha. But we are not Purusha actually. Krishna is Purusha. So he can even marry 16,000 millions of wives. Even that is not complete. It's unlimited. Krishna, his energy is unlimited. He is not completely manifesting his unlimited and inexhaustible potencies. He married only 16,000 wives and entered in each and every one of the different palaces just to impress in the history of the human being on the surface of earth that the Lord is never equal or less than any human being, however powerful he may be. No one therefore is either equal to or greater than the Lord. The Lord is always great in all respects. God is great, is eternal truth. And therefore, you can see in other sampradayas, like Madhvacharya Sampradaya, they are very they are strict to this principle that Krishna is supreme and Jiva is his servant. Even in Ramanjanacharya Sampradaya, they are only in Dasya Bhava. Krishna, God is great and we are his subservient. Only in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, because of the mercy of our previous acharyas, Madhavendra Puri, he brought this Radha Krishna worship, and in that way, in that line, Ishwarapuri and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he brought this different exchanges with the Lord. Madhurya Rasa, which is the most highest thing, which is given from our Sampradaya. But in other Sampradayas, they are very strict. Once in Salem, we were invited by one Madhacharya follower. So we went to his home. Few of our devotees for some program there, some bhajan, and they like bhajan. So we went there, and temple president also, he invited temple president to see his altar, and he was very excited to show his altar. Temple president also said, okay, let us go and take darshan. So when he opened the altar, Krishna is with two hands with flute, and another two hands Shankha and Chakra. He says then, here Krishna is showing his Madhurya Bhava. Don't forget, he is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they have this Dasya Bhava. Even Krishna, they show in four-handed form. Vyasadeva Krishna. They worship. And they won't accept different expansions. They won't accept Balaramji, that he is that expansion of the Lord. There are different interpretations from that Madhvacharya Sampradaya. So, but they establish that Krishna is supreme, and Jiva is subservient. Therefore, as soon as the queen saw from the distance their husbands, who was away from home for long periods due to their battle of Kurukshetra, they all arose from the slumber of meditation and prepared to receive their most beloved. It is also mentioned in Bhagavatam when the pastime where Ashwadhama when Bhima, Pandavas, Arjuna and Bhima, they go and they Ashwadama, when he releases the Brahmastra, and then he doesn't know how to contract it, bring it back. Then no, he wants to destroy the last Pariksit Maharaj in the womb itself. So later he was caught by Arjuna. He brings in front of Draupadi and Yudhishthir Maharaj. And Bhima was very, very angry actually. He said, he will say, "Chalo, we'll finish him, no, we'll kill him." And Arjuna was ready. He is also ready to kill him. And other Nakula and Sahadeva also were ready to kill him. And Krishna was there also. Krishna was just saying what they will do. And Yudhishthira also, he became angry. This fellow, he killed Upapandavas, their sons. And Bhima was almost ready. He took his sword and he was almost ready to kill Ashwadama. And they all stood up and they were on Ashwadama, going towards Ashwadama. And Krishna was in two-handed form. Suddenly he shows his four-handed form to stop Yudhishthir Maharaj and Bhima. He stops him. So like this, sometimes in Dwaraka, Krishna shows two-handed form and sometimes four-handed form. So it's first canto is mentioned about this pastime. According to Yajnavalkya's religious injunctions, a woman whose husband is away from home should not take part in any social functions, should not decorate her body, should not laugh, and should not go to any relative's house in any circumstances. This is the vow of the ladies whose husbands are away from home. So definitely, in the present modern society, if woman hears this, they immediately woman rights comes up. Why women are kept so low from man? Why they have so many rules? We want freedom. We want freedom. And okay, now you have freedom. So what's happening? They are polluted. They are getting polluted by other men. Because they're not following the Shastra. If you see in the Vedic culture, women were well protected. Why? Because they were following all the principles which were given in the Shastra. That's why they are protected. But in the present society, women want freedom. They want equal rights with men. So that's why there's so much adultery, unwanted population, and whole societies. Like Arjuna also said in Bhagavad Gita that if I kill all this, if this war takes place, Krishna, then all the women they will become separate. They will not be protected, and adultery will start, and whole society will in this way get destroyed because of unwanted population, because asuras take birth. And whole society is diminished. There will no any God civilization. There will be only demonic civilization. There will be no any God-centered civilization if women are polluted. So here the queens of Dwarka, they are showing an example how to be in front of the husband, how to receive him. They are well covered. When husband is away, it's mentioned that they should not laugh, they should not decorate their body. They should not go to relatives' home in any circumstances. So strict rules. Nowadays, if we say these rules, immediately they even if they are devotees, they won't accept this. No, they're not going to accept this. That's why we need this self-sufficient, simple living, high thinking, self-sufficient farms where all this can be established to show an example to the society that here women are very happy than in the cities. Hare Krishna. Shall we read from Chaitanya Charitamrita few verses about different expansions? Time is 9:16 now. Prabhuji. Few verses from, yeah. So Madhya Leela can 28th chapter 165th verse. 20. One 64. Shall I? 164. Hare Krishna. Okay. Swayam Rupa Tadekatma Rupa Aveshanama Pratimei Tina Rupa Rahena Bhagavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in three principal forms: Swayam Rupa, Tadekatma Rupa, and Avesha Rupa. In this purport is mentioned. Srila Rupa Goswami has described the Swayam Rupa in his Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purvakanda, verse 12. Ananya Pekshi Yadrupam Swayam Rupa Sa Uchyate. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not depend on other forms is called the Swayam Rupa, the original form. Swayam Rupa means the form which does not depend on other forms, which is the original form of the Lord. This form is also described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Krishna's form as a cowherd boy in Vrindavana is the original form of the Personality of Godhead, Swayam Rupa, is confirmed in Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There is another superior to Govinda. He is the ultimate source and the cause of all causes. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.7, where the Lord says, Matta Parataram Nanyat. There is no truth superior to me. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are also described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita Purvakanda verse 14. Yadrupam tad abhedena swarupena virajte akrityadibhir anyadrak tadekatma rupakah. The Tadekatma Rupa forms exist simultaneously with the Swayam Rupa form and all are non-different. At the same time, their bodily features and specific activities appear to be different. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are divided into two categories, Swamsha and Vilasa. So Tadekatma Rupa is Lord Balaram. So his bodily features, specific activities, he is Sevaka Bhagavan. In Vaikunta he is Ananda Shesh. Whole Vrindavan, he expands as Vrindavan. He becomes Yamuna. He becomes the bed of the Lord. He becomes everything, plate, what all, he becomes padukas for the Lord, he becomes everything, what all we use in Krishna service, everything is like, even Mridanga, Kartal is Balram's expansion. In Ramalila is Lakshmana, is always with the Lord. This way, in every avatar, Lord comes in different forms. Adekatma Rupa. Lord Krishna's Avesha forms are also explained in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita Purva 18. Gnana Sakti Adik Kalya Yatra Vishto Janardanaha Tadavesha Nigadyante Jiva Eva Mahatmaha. A living entity who is specifically empowered by the Lord with knowledge or strength is technically called Avesha Rupa, as stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hamta Leela 7.11. Krishna Shakti Veena Nahe Tare Pravartana. Unless a devotee is specifically empowered by the Lord, he cannot preach the holy name of the Lord all over the world. This is an explanation of the word Avesha Rupa. So Avesha Rupa means any jiva can take that role actually. So jiva is given special Shakti. That's why we say Shakti Avesha Avatar. Sri Prabhupada is also Shakti Avesha Avatar. He came to expand the Sankirtana movement all over the world. And Narada Muni is given Bhakti Shakti to spread 3 worlds. He travels everywhere to spread devotional service, to preach Krishna consciousness. He goes all the 3 worlds. Like this, there are many Shakti Avesha. Buddha, Lord Buddha also is a Shakti Avesha avatar. So like this. So if devotees have time, you can go through this chapter. Very nicely explained here. So we'll end here. Any questions, comments? Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we are fortunate to have information about Lord, His Roop, Guna, Leela, everything. We are so close to Him. But when you're talking about other religion, they are not having this information. They kind of try to imagine, and it's kind of an appreciation that, how come God be a human being, right? He should be so huge, bright. So it's kind of an imagination, which is also, I feel, good. But my question is, why they are deprived of having access to the Lord's form, His information? They are also religion, right? So they should be having access to the God's information. Why they are deprived? Is it a kind of so many variety of human going through the evolution, maybe in the next birth, they will come closer to the God? I just want to have more details on it.
Chaitanya Prabhu, can you answer this question? Yeah. According to different times, the different religions, they came up actually. According to different time, place and circumstances. And they are given very limited information about God. Because they are not the people who are the preacher, the prophet who comes to preach this, he sees according to time, place and circumstance. Accordingly, he gives a message. Like, it's not that Jesus Christ doesn't know who is God, who is Supreme God. He knows that. But people were in such tamoguna, people were in such ignorance that they were having sex with their own, the other woman, no discrimination, out of marriage, they were living almost like animals. So accordingly, he preached the message of God to that at that period. Similarly, even Muhammad Prophet, he did accordingly. So in that way, their religion, if they practice the prophets given rules and regulations, which even Muhammadan, even Quran, there are some principles to be followed. If they follow that strictly, so then they may elevate their consciousness gradually. But Srila Prabhupada actually said, when he was arguing, when he was speaking to these people, the professors, that do you have any information of God? Do you have any information of God? He used to ask like this. They are silent. No. Yeah, God is there. Yeah, He is in heaven. It is mentioned in Bible that when these Christians, when they go to heaven, all their family members, they meet in the heaven, and Jesus Christ He walks in front of them and He just sees them and smiles. That's it. This much only is mentioned about heaven, and no much information actually they have. No. Because they were fully in bodily conception, they were almost living like animals. Accordingly, the message was given. But our message is absolute, is completely in a different level. I mean, spiritual plane. It's directly coming from all our acharyas. Who they are? They are all from. They're all Sakis from Goloka Vrindavana. They came to give Krishna prema directly. Krishna himself is coming. He's sending Vedas. He's coming in different forms. He's sending his devotees. Acharyas are coming. Sadhus are coming. Why? To give this absolute message that we are not meant to stay here. This material world is not a place to stay. It's not a proper place for us. Our real place is in Goloka Vrindavana. That is the purpose ultimately one has to reach. That we are eternal servant of Krishna, and we are meant to go back to his real realm, Goloka Vrindavana, where we can do the same thing what we are doing here. Chant his glories, sing his glories. Do you want to give any more explanation? Okay, bro. Thank you. Radhanath, bro, any comments? Thank you very much for patiently hearing. Randaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhishta kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo